All right. Nice. Okay. I can see people are joining. Let me pop out the chat here. So it's a little bit cold. So I have my hoodie on because I'm kind of freezing, but that should not be a problem, I hope. Yeah, all right. Yeah, first off, sorry everyone for streaming late. This was supposed to happen last week, but then I had a cancel flight, and then things kind of got messy. So I didn't. I didn't actually get to stream after all. Let's see, people are joining. Okay, nice. Yeah, didn't have a chance to stream last week, but here we are today. So, this stream. So this is the first time that we have a stream after the 3 army release schedule. So it also means that there is a lot of, well, not a lot of, but there's less, let's say, less things to go through because we only have two armies to go through in part of this thing. I also want to try something new for this stream, which is that I'm going to put. Oh, audio is crackling. Oh, damn. So, damn. So, I thought we had solved this problem last time. I'm not sure. Seems like it fixed itself. Seems like it's fixed. Okay, great. Okay, cool. Then it doesn't matter. I don't have to do anything. All right. So usually what we do is we, at the end of the stream, we kind of like let people ask questions. But what I would like to do this time is, well, we'll still do that, but I will pin a message now here at the top of the stream. So instead of you just posting your questions in the stream and they kind of like get lost, I am putting a link to a Google form where you can ask your questions. So we're going to be collecting questions there throughout the stream, and then towards the end of the stream, yeah, I'll just go through it and answer questions from there instead of having to go to chat, and then the chat is moving, and then it's a mess. I can see that. So we had originally posted this already on Patreon and on Discord, and I see there's actually quite a lot of questions there already. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get to all of them. We will try to speed through things a little bit, but yeah, maybe also with the fact that we have less things to cover, we'll have more time for the Q&A. The target for the stream is about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't want to make it too long. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else before we start. No, we'll just start. All right, so all right, topic number 1. So we originally started talking about this during our last stream that we are so we're introducing this thing which we're calling the compatibility with OPR. Basically, it's so right now what we're doing is we're giving other creators these banners that they can use to basically showcase that their minis are compatible with OPR. What does it mean for a creator to showcase that their minis are compatible with OPR? It usually means one of two things. Either one, let's say the simpler form is basically like they are making minis that fit some existing army that we have, or number two, they have an actual list for our games that they provide with their minis. Right now, they provide the PDFs, but in the future, our basically our web app is going to include a section where you can find the lists directly, so it will be even easier to find um, well, the list for the creators that you love, and it's going to be easier for them to share. And a lot of things are coming, but yeah. So last month we did it with 3 people. One that we had already announced during the last stream, which was Dragon Trappers Lodge. And then this month we kind of showcased 2 more. So number one, Table Hammer. So Table Hammer, they make they have a lot of factions actually that fit within the OPR, you know, the thing within our games. So they have, let me check. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, and the 6th one that they're starting now. So they have one called the Axel Union, which, wait, they only have one. Let me double check because I know that they're also doing like some updates to their stuff. Yeah, so they have one which is called the Harvest 5. Oh, Humans of Harvest 4. So well, this is basically Human Defense Force. They have Space Corps, which are Battle Brothers. They have Necroids, which are basically Robot Legions. And actually, the one that they were showcasing last month, and which you can see here in the picture, it's, well, one of them. It's the Federation of Tyr, which is basically like a dwarf guilds faction. I was talking to them actually these days, and this month I think they're actually starting with some demon army. I think it's gonna be kind of like, well, something that you can use for wormhole demons or rift demons. I think they're starting with sort of like a war themed one. But yeah, Table Hammer, cool stuff. Make sure to check them out. And their miniatures are compatible with OPR. And then there's actually another one that we worked with, which is Dark Gods. So Dark Gods, they're actually running a Frontiers campaign right now called Scraplands Dino Rampage, and it's basically Orc Marauders. So it's orcs, but well, it's cool. It's orcs, but within the theme of like dinosaurs. So you have like beast riders, but they're dino riders. You have your regular orcs. You have your heroes. You have um, the walkers. You have the vehicles. You have all the stuff that you expect from the Orc Marauders list. I think they even have like, instead of planes, they actually have like giant pterodactyls that the orcs are like flying on. Anyway, it looks really cool. It looks really fun, and it's compatible with OPR. So I wanted to highlight it for you to check out. I'm not sure. We expect that as things go forward, more and more creators are going to join um, this program. So I'm not sure if we're going to keep highlighting them every single time on this stream, or if we're going to keep making posts. Maybe we're going to have like a unified section on our new website where we can talk about it. Not sure, but we'll try to make sure that where to find cool minis for our games. And yeah, we're excited to see like different creators come here and join this bubble, because ideally, anything could come out of this, right? Like you could have 2 completely unrelated creators that never work together say like, hey, we're both making minis for OPR. Why don't we join forces and make like a cool crowdfunding campaign, for example? And you can do well with a miniatures agnostic game, right? You can do kind of anything. So yeah, I'm excited about this. Yeah. By the way, I mentioned something. I wanted to talk about it on this stream today, but unfortunately, I don't have enough to show yet that I really feel comfortable with. But yes, we are working on a new website. If you see our current website, I mean, it's a crappy WordPress basic blog that I had set up back in 2014. I think that's when I first launched the blog. 2014, 2015. It's been there since forever. It's really bad. I'm gonna be honest, it's slightly embarrassing because people now hear about OPR and they expect this great thing, and they see our minis and they're very excited, and then they go on our website and it's like it's old and bad. But we are working on a new website. We're actually hoping to launch it maybe by the end of this month, maybe next month. And yeah, it's gonna be really cool. Okay, next thing. So, oh yeah, starter sets and only games. So we have some new starter sets and only games that people requested for the Plague Demons, and the Lust Demons. The starter sets, basically, you have a start collecting starter set, which is a smaller set with 1 hero and 10 models, so it's 11 models in total. Around 250 points so it's great for like the skirmish games. And basically, serves an introduction to the faction for you to like check them out and see if you like them. And then there's another set, which is the start playing set, which has a lot more models. I think it has 16 models, including like a big centerpiece model. And it's around 500 points. So if you put these two together, you can play like a full battle-sized game. They're available on Only Games. If you don't have a 3D printer, just hop on Only Games, buy them. If you're a patron, there is a 5% discount on Patreon for Only Games. So get your 5% off and and get playing. All right. Okay. Grimlock Future FTL. For those that don't know, Grimlock Future, FTL right now, it's kind of like a set in a generic setting. And we are porting it over to Grimlock Future. In doing so, we are updating the core rules a little bit, not a ton, but enough to spice the game a bit up. And we're adding actually factions that are from the Grimlock Future universe. There's 16 factions. Well, there's going to be 17 factions in total, actually. And we are basically releasing 2 new factions on Patreon every month, and it's kind of like an early access beta version. Right now, I think we have reached 14 factions this month. We released the Dark Elves and the Ratman clans. So there's actually tons of action now. 14. Next month, I think we're going to release the final 2, and then I would suppose in March we're adding the new bonus one that we're doing with the Star Host, because we didn't have the Star Host yet when we originally started working on this whole thing. And then it's going to be in beta for a while, still in early access on Patreon. We'll also be modifying the full rule book to update it to fit within the new rules changes, and it's gonna be cool. If you like FTL, definitely go check it out. It's I feel like it's an upgrade through and through. Okay, next up. Oh, Age of Fantasy Quest. Okay, cool. So this was kind of announced actually during our last stream. So Age of Fantasy Quest is a skirmish adventure game. That's what we're calling them. So basically, it's a single player or co-op game. This one is set in our fantasy universe. We're going to make one in our sci-fi universe as well. And basically, it's 4 heroes go on at its core, they basically go on like these randomly generated quests and fight a bunch of baddies, grab some loot, earn experience, learn new skills, and at the end of your campaign fight a big boss. It's so last stream I had announced that I had picked up working on this and it was going to be released in December, and yes, it is available in early access on Patreon now. So far I have released so what do we have? We have the core rules of the game, of course. We have the hero creation rules, so everything you need to set up your first heroes. And we have the campaign generator. So the campaign generator basically gives you it generates a campaign for you, and then you can generate quests within the campaign. And it helps you set up the table, what kind of terrain to use, how to set it up, what is your primary mission, what is your secondary mission, search markers, like different markers that you put on the table to find like treasure, generating enemies, generating these sort of like travel events, like things that happen on the way between quests, random events, special conditions, a ton of stuff, a ton of tables. If you love rolling on tables, you're gonna love Age of Fantasy Quest. It's available now on Patreon. I was hoping to release the first compendium entry in December, but I couldn't do it, so I'm hoping to release it now in January. What is a compendium entry, just for you to catch up? So the the base core rules and the base hero creation and the base mission generator thing, kind of gives you very, let's say, like generic, everything you need to create generic characters and generic quests, and so that you can play with any miniatures you want, right? Miniature agnostic. That's how OPR works. But additionally to that, we're going to be releasing the compendium, and the compendium basically is going to give you, it's going to give you faction specific things. So um, it's going to give you like new skills, new traits. It's going to give you pre-made heroes, all for a specific faction. So for every faction in the game. So for instance, the one that I'm currently working on is for the Ratman. So if you want to create a Ratman hero, it gives you like special skills and traits from the Ratman to kind of like customize your hero. It has a special like shop for the Ratman. It's going to have all the Ratman enemies, so all the miniatures that we have. Well, not the really big stuff because it doesn't fit into Age of Fantasy Quest. Age of Fantasy Quest is played on a very small scale, but basically gives you like the Ratman enemies, and then also the random events, the random generation, a bunch of stuff basically, so that you can tailor your experience to the factions that you're playing with. This is, I'm going to be honest, this is going to be a very, very big project, but what we have right now is very promising. I think it's going to be very cool. And as soon as we feel confident that we have kind of like the formula down with Age of Fantasy Quest, we will then port it over to Grimlock Future, and eventually release it on first in early access, of course, and then eventually release it to the public on our website, on our new website. Okay, so that's Age of Fantasy Quest. Next up, okay, so Army Forge Beta V2.50. People keep asking me about this. Makes sense. We've been working on this since forever. So, okay, what updates do I have for you? So it's not ready, of course, as always. We only release things when we feel that they're ready. Right now, I had a call with the web dev team a couple days ago. Right now, my estimate is that we're going to get into like a soft launch, still beta, but we're going to soft launch the Army Forge as the new way to access our stuff. So remove the Google Drive, remove the old armies, remove everything that's old, and go into like this is our beta with a automated point calculator. Hopefully by the end of February. That's where I would say. That will include basically everything that you already know, right? So like the list builder, the PDFs, and then also the big thing that we're working on is the Patreon point calculator, right? So the idea is that if you want to make your own army, you can go there and you can create it, and then it's shared with the community and everybody can have access to it. Right now, so since we've been working on this for so long, we've actually been trying to like really boil down what is like the MVP, what is the most important stuff for us to have at launch, or at this kind of like soft launch beta stage. So we're going to launch with the necessary features for this all to work, but then we're going to improve it over time, of course. We want to add ways to like validate the balance of the army lists. We want to add additional tools for like voting and commenting maybe, and many other things. But yes, I'm hoping that we're going to like be able to remove the old point, like PDF point calculator, the old online calculator, the old army list, remove all of that stuff by the end of February, and then this is going to be the new way to play. As part of it, we're actually looking into potentially not rebranding the thing, but like consolidating the brand. So basically, one of the problems that we have right now is that we have the web app and we have the Army Forge, and it seems to be causing a lot of confusion. And I get it; it is kind of like confusing because people are like, well, where do I go if I want to find what and what to do? And so what we're gonna try and do is we're gonna try to consolidate the two systems so that you kind of have like a one-stop shop. Right now, the idea is that we're also going to like rename the web app essentially to like the Army Forge, and you're going to have the Army Forge, right? So what you know and love, list builder, generate your PDFs, whatever. And then we're going to have something maybe like the Army Forge. Oh wait, we had a name for it the other day. I don't know. Let's say we call it the Army Forge Creator, and this is what is essentially like the tool that you use to create new armies. But for those that are not interested in creating new armies, they only have to use the Army Forge. So you don't have to split your attention between the web app and the Army Forge anymore. The web app will only exclusively be used to actually create new armies. Everything else is on the Army Forge. We're hoping that this is going to make things easier, because then, if somebody asks like, hey, if I want to get playing, where do I go? Bam, Army Forge, everything is there. PDFs are there. List building is there. Who knows? Maybe one day Army book, rule books are there. We're going to see. But yes, we're also. So I'm not 100% sure on this, but we're also going to kind of change the focus of the Army Forge, or what we think should be at the forefront. So one thing that we've noticed, especially since we released Army Forge, is that less and less people are using the PDFs. And I find that right now, the way that things are set up, kind of the PDFs are put at the forefront. So a lot of new players join, they see the PDFs, and they kind of get scared. So we kind of want to reverse that, and we want to make sure that a new player is going to find the list builder first, and then the PDF is like an additional tool. And we also want to try to rework the layout of the PDFs so that they are more useful. So right now, when you open a PDF, you have at the top all the unit profiles, and then you have like they say which upgrade list they have, and then you have like this big block of tiny upgrade lists, and then it's like, okay, unit, this unit has upgrades A and F, and then you have to go and search. So what I'm idealizing, or what I'm imagining right now, is that one day the PDF is going to be structured like this. So at the top, you're going to have your lists of like all the units. So this is kind of like the quick scan. You can take a look. You can see all the units that are in your army, all their standard loadouts, all their standard stats. Bam, great. And then at the bottom, instead of having upgrade lists, you're going to have unit cards. So instead of it just being like list A and then, upgrade, blah, 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 and kind of gets confusing, you will have something that will be like, hey, captain, right? And it will be like, here's the captain, here's its costs, quality, defense, weapons, special rules. And then as part of that unit card, it will tell you like, okay, replace rifle with blah, 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 or upgrade with a jetpack, and so on and so forth. That's kind of like the idea. We want to keep the PDFs in the available. But yes, we're going to have to see. I'm going to be honest. I think that we need to do some tracking, some analytics, and kind of get a better sense of who is using what and how much. Because who knows? Maybe like our assumption from what the community tells us and what we see is that people use the list builder first. But who knows? Maybe we find out that people prefer the PDFs, and so then we change our focus. Either way, we're going to keep both. We know people love to print and have the PDFs, not the PDFs, well, their units printed on a sheet of paper. You can do that also with the list builder, but it's different from the PDF. So yeah, we're going to keep the PDFs. Don't worry about that. And I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's all. Yeah, more work to do, more stuff to do. We're hoping to do, like I said, a sort of like soft launch, and then kind of like launch. Well, not launch the beta, because the beta is already launched, so to say. But kind of like remove everything that's kind of like deprecated, and because right now we have so much confusion, right? Like people they're opening the website, and then they go in the armies, and then they find an old version of the Battle Brothers list, and then they make a comment about them, and then people say, wait, that's not how the stats are. But big confusion. So we want to make sure that we go back to the way that things used to be, right? There's only one army list per army, and we remove the confusion. Okay, let's move on. So okay, cool. So moving on. So that was about the games. Let's move on a little bit about lore. So lore, it's something that we're still working on. It was a big focus for us during 2022 to build up a solid team of writers and illustrators. We're still working on that, but as part of the team that we've been able to set up already, we have we already started working on art and lore and so on and so forth. And yeah, I want to kind of like highlight a little bit what is coming at you. So in the future, our plan is to release 2 short stories per month. Ideally, they're going to be first in early access on Patreon. So patrons have like a little bit of a bonus. Tier 1, you join and you have like a set of short stories that are patron exclusive. Well, not exclusive, but like in early access. And then over time, we will also release them for free on our website. The idea is to release 1 Grimlock Future story and 1 Age of Fantasy story per month. Yeah, and the stories focus basically on characters and factions, and either the history of the faction or the current state of the faction, or a specific character, and kind of like how the world works. In this story that you see here, so Song of the Kadwala, this focuses on the Beastmen. So the Beastman story. I know for some people this might be a little bit confusing because the army book lore right now is old, actually. But to give an update, so basically the story of the Beastmen is that they had like this great society in the south, and they were living peacefully, and they were prospering, and they were doing amazing. And then when the Great Rift opened, essentially like it drove right through their lands and destroyed everything. And so well, and now they're kind of like trying to understand, well, what do they do with their lives. And um those, some stay behind and kind of mourn, but many others basically like move up north and basically start becoming raiders and pillagers, and kind of do what they have to survive. And actually, if you look at the way that the Beastman models are made, um you can actually see that everything that they do, that they wear, is kind of like scrap made, because they're basically just raiding, grabbing things, melting metal together, reforging it, and kind of like moving up. And so Song of the Kadwala basically focuses on um, on the central conflict. Really, it's about a shaman and a yeah, it's about an older shaman and their centaur pupil. And the shaman is still trying to teach the old ways to this young centaur, who believes that, well, it's now that everything was destroyed, they have to follow another path, and it's about that central conflict. I'm gonna be honest; it's one of the best stories that I think we have, and it really, yeah, it really hits the home with the theme of the faction. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to releasing the lore, and yeah, it's been a long time coming. We've been working on it for a year, and it's crazy because people keep asking me about lore, and I'm just here, like I have this mountain of lore waiting for you, and it's just about like building it up and having everything ready to just start releasing. And once we start releasing, it's going to be a huge flow of lore and stories and art and characters, and yeah, it's going to be great. All right. Let's move on from lore and let's go. Well, okay, this kind of ties into it with the lore. So, yeah. So, one of the things that we're doing as part of like the lore push is that we are making. Initially, we're going to be making something that we're calling the world guides, and then we're going to be making faction guides. The world guide basically is it's going to be a book, 35, 40 pages, something like that, that basically tells you like all of the history of the world. So there's going to be one for Grimlock Future, and there's going to be one for Age of Fantasy, and and yeah, basically like, it tells you the history, how things started, how we got where we are, how things are currently. What does the world look like? How is it structured? How is life in these worlds, and so on and so forth. And then the faction books are going to basically explore the same things, but about specific factions. So, yeah, here I wanted to showcase some of the art from one of the world guides. So this is from the Age of Fantasy world guide. We have tons of illustrations. I think each book has like 100 plus illustrations. It's something really crazy, and yeah, you can see some art here of some characters. And yeah, I think it looks awesome. Again, I can't wait for this to come out and for you to be able to just drool all of the gorgeous art that we're working on, and the story and everything. So yeah, exciting times. Okay, so next up, all right, so now let's move on a little bit to showcasing upcoming releases. So well, so usually this stream is done at the end of the month, and we kind of showcase what is coming. Unfortunately, this stream is now happening at the beginning of the month, and so the stuff that I was going to showcase has already been released. So instead, I'm going to show you some work in progress stuff for well, for the month of February for the Ratman, and then well, okay. So for the Ratman, yeah, and this is gonna be fairly quick because I don't have that much to show you. So okay, for the Ratman here, you can see the Ratman Assassin. So the Ratman Assassin is the hero for the Scouts unit. Yeah, really cool model. It comes with 4 different head options. So you have the male version, the female version, and then for both the male version and the female version, you have a masked version. So the assassin has like a mask over its snout. Cool flowy cape. Unfortunately, this shot is just from the front, but in the back there's like this really cool flowy elements, and then you can see that in its like on the belt, you have like different vials of like poison and smoke grenades and bombs. And then 2 daggers, of course, that that on the hilt kind of feature part of the symbol of the godmother, the rat mother. And I think I actually have a close up, maybe. Yeah, here you can see it a bit better. Yeah, yeah, this essence cool. You know, there's also the scouts, which are like a, let's say, a simpler version. I think this is really cool and I don't know, emblematic unit for the Ratman. I love the idea of like these little rats scurrying around like you know, rooftops at night and then jumping on their enemies. Yeah. Okay. So all right, that was for the Ratman. Now for the Battle Sisters. So I'm gonna show you some work in progress models. So this month we're going to have the Battle Sister Vanguards out. Unfortunately, the models aren't ready yet because they still need to be. The models are basically ready, but we're still finishing the cuts, and then we still have to support them. So I would expect that it will take at least another week to release them. But I have some renders for you. Well, some screenshots from the ZBrush process to show you. The Vanguards are basically a sort of like scout unit for the Battle Sisters. They are lightly armored, and they sort of like, you know, scout ahead or try to flank the enemy and then go at them with shotguns and other special weapons. And yeah, so first pose you can see here is sort of like an almost like a sergeant-y pose, you know, checking out the scanner. She has her cool double-barreled shotgun in her hands, and yeah, the Vanguards have kind of like these goggles, these masks and goggles that they wear, but they actually come with a lot of different versions. So you have the mask and the goggle, or like you have the goggles up or the goggles removed. You have the mask removed with the goggles. I think there's a total of 6 heads, 6 head variants. Yeah, and okay. So yeah, this is the version looking at the scanner. Oh, if you take a look at the belt, and actually you can see it in the backpack as well, and the shoulder pad, their symbol is this heart, you know, with vines, spiky vines around them. Then we have pose 2. Pose 2 is sort of like, you know, advancing forward quietly and getting ready to shoot someone in the face. Then we have a sort of like walking pose as well, but this one is aiming, so a little bit more tactical. Then we have a sort of like jumping pose. We were kind of like wanting to showcase their mobility. You know, they're stealthy, but they're agile. They're scouts. You know, they can kind of do both. So I actually really like this pose because like the cape flows nicely. Then we have a sort of running pose. This pose actually has been adjusted, so the way that the legs are has been updated. But yeah, this one is basically just running and shooting from the hip. And yeah, I think that this version has a special, like there's a version of this pose with a flamethrower, so just running into the enemy and just flaming everyone, which is also very cool. And then finally, actually, so these come with a bonus pose. So usually a unit comes with 5 poses. This one comes with a 6 pose, which is a sniper pose. So if you take a closer look at it, maybe you can recognize it from its design and from its ammo thing. But this is actually a flamethrower sniper rifle. So this is a sort of legendary weapon of the Battle Sisters that we've been having in the rules, and people have been speculating about it for many years by now, honestly. And here it is finally. So it's a sniper rifle, but it's a flamethrower, but it's a sniper rifle. So how does it work? To be disclosed. But yes, it's a flamethrower and it's a sniper rifle. Yeah, and it's actually really cool to finally see it happen. All right. Okay. Oh yeah, and also let me show you the work in progress of our epic avatar of lust. Unfortunately, the model also was not ready for release on the 4th. The model is ready. We are currently doing the cuts. Unfortunately, the cuts are taking a long time because it's a very complex model. It's very big. It has lots of tails. It has lots of tentacles, lots of arms. So it's quite a complex model. Yeah, but it's epic. So it's a huge version of the avatar of lust. 6 arms, 2 huge arm attachments, and it's kind of like wrapped around a building. She has a sword. She has a sort of like a spell casting hand. She has one of the mirrors. She has a spear. She even has like a pet snake on her shoulder. Yeah, she's huge. You can see here like the base is enormous. There's literally an entire building sticking out from this base, and tentacles and going everywhere, which is very cool. And then we have a bit of a close up. Yeah, here you can see it a bit better. Yeah, I actually really love the spell casting hand. I love the way that the fingers are kind of like curled. I don't know, whatever. The way she's using her fingers to like cast a spell. Yeah, and there's snakes everywhere as well. Really cool. Really follows the theme. Nice. Okay. Cool. This is actually going faster than usual. So that's actually pretty good. We're 40 minutes in. So we have some time. Okay, let's go to the next thing, which is the concept art. So here we're going to now take a look at concepts for the February release. Yeah. So first off, I don't know if we had announced this, but originally we were just going to do like the regular rat swarms, which are just like little piles of tiny rats. And then sort of somewhere in the concepting phase, we came up with a couple of cool ideas. So on the one hand, we have the rat master that is like leading a pack of like rat hounds, like giant rats, which is being released now in January, which I think came out looking really, really cool. And then, of course, we're going to have like giant rats, so individual giant rats on 20 mil basis, right, for like big giant rat swarms. And then we thought, well, if we have we have this concept of the giant rats and we have the concept of the swarms, so how cool would it be to kind of like give you an extra version of the rat swarm, which is a rat swarm base but with the giant rats. And so yeah, that's how you get the giant rat swarm bases. And it's really cool. They come in different formations. They have this sort of like attack formation, which is like a bunch of rats like jumping over each other. There's like a defensive formation where they're kind of like holding off. And there's actually a special formation, which is kind of like a leader formation, where you're going to have a rat master kind of like pointing at the rats, and the rats are like attacking. And it's really cool. We're actually giving you also the individual version of just the rat master pointing. So if you want to use that standalone or in combination with other models, you can. So that's very cool. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, well, so yes, so this is a little bit of the thing I was showing you before. I was showing you the render, but here we have the scouts. So the scouts, like I said, it's kind of like these stealthy ratmen. You can see that they come like with these cool flowy capes. They have these sort of like smoke bombs that they carry. They have these special daggers with which they fight. They have throwing daggers. They have throwing stars. They have a lot of really cool poses. I actually really like that this is 5 very different poses. and each one also kind of like wields slightly different setup of weapons, so they're not all kind of like dual daggers, but there's one throwing daggers, there's one with the dual daggers, of course. I think there's one like lunging. I don't remember. But yeah, they look very cool, and with the capes, you get like really cool shapes. And of course, also really cool, you're going to get a tiny little rat buddy with a giant like shuriken on his back. Um, I've seen the model and it looks amazing. The rat buddies really they spark joy. Okay, so that's the scouts. Yeah, and then we have the assassin. Well, we showcased the assassin before, but here you can see the concept art for it. So yeah, version with the mask has these cool like element in the back of like these flowy stripes that then like kind of float. Has some cool special daggers. But yeah, I showed it before, so you kind of know what to expect already. Then we're going to get, oh, this is very cool. So we're going to get the Ratman snipers. So sniper teams, you're going to get 3 bases. Each base has a team of 2 snipers. You kind of have like a forward. You have like a rat, I don't know, assistant in the front that is holding a pavis. So it's this kind of like shield that is set up, and then you have a guy in the back it's the actual sniper, and he has this huge sniper rifle, and it's leaned on the pavis and it shoots. You're going to get 3 of those. One of them is also going to have a little buddy that's really cute. I think he's like with little binoculars, surveying the situation. But what's really cool here is that like we actually get to showcase the fun, crazy tech that they use. So the Ratmen have this sort of like I don't remember what it's called, but it's this thing that you use in a fireplace to like it's like to shoot air, kind of vapor thing, whatever, to fuel a fire. And so they kind of like have tech based on that. And so you can see, actually you can kind of see it here in like the top pose, that to kind of like fuel and basically like to generate the energy to fire the bullet. You kind of have this thing, and he kind of like, so that the guy in the back is like pumping it with his leg, and to like fuel the tank in the back, and then he's able to like use that pressure to shoot the bullet. I thought it was really cool. Honestly, some of the coolest models that we've ever made. All of the Ratman weapon teams are really cool. And so yeah, you're going to get these 3 teams, and then of course you're going to get a hero, and that's the engineer with the sniper rifle. He is a hero, so he's extra cool. He doesn't need a buddy, so he actually has a special version of the sniper rifle that has the pumping thing here, like in the back, and so he can like kind of like pump it himself, and then shoot it. Yeah, I've seen the model. It looks very cool. Yeah, it's very cool designs, very cool models. And I think that's it for the Ratman. So what are you gonna get? You're going to get the giant rats, the giant rat swarms, the snipers, the scouts, the assassin, the snipers, and the sniper engineer. Yeah, that's 6 units. That's a lot. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of stuff. Okay. Battle Sisters. All right, let's move on to the Battle Sisters. So here we have some concepts. These concepts that you're going to see now are going to be fairly simplistic, because this is actually what I'm showcasing here is what we call our pre-concepts. So in our production pipeline, basically we have a phase where we essentially lay out like the whole army. So we have like a very, very, very rough, sketchy version of all the units in the army. And this helps us basically get an idea for like, how does the whole army feel? What elements can we use that like reference each other? What makes sense within the army and whatnot? And then the next step basically is we move on to like the pre-concept. So it's like we then zoom into each individual unit, and we do a slightly more advanced version of that initial rough sketch, just so like that the concept artists have an idea of like what is the idea, what's the vibe behind the unit, and then it actually goes into the to the concept art team to to actually finalize the concept and come up with all the cool ideas and enhance it and add elements and make the poses and so on and so forth. So yeah, what you're seeing here are pre-concepts, which are relatively simple. So the first concept that we're seeing here is, so in the middle you can see this is the novice sisters. So they're kind of like the newbies, the new starters, the fresh recruits. They don't really have any armor. They don't have any backpacks. They just have like the little robes. They have so I think they fight with pistols and daggers or with rifles, and they have also a simplified version of the Battle Sisters pistol and the Battle Sister rifle. And actually, so you don't see it here because it's a pre-concept. They actually come with all the bonus things. So I think they come with the megaphone sister. They come with the medic, and they come with the standard bearer. But actually, they all have these sort of like simplified, more wooden versions of those items because, well, I guess they're initiates, and they don't trust them with the fancy stuff. And on the right, you can see the Battle Sister Novice Superior, the Novice Superior, I think that's what she's called, which is basically like the hero version of the novices. And yeah, she's a little bit more elaborate. She has a bigger robe. She has more faction elements. And she's kind of like an in between, right? She looks like a novice, but she is already leaning towards the more advanced assets from the superiors. Yeah, I think she looks really cool. Okay, next up, what are you going to get? Oh, you're going to get the Sacrosanct. So the Sacrosancts basically are more elite, heavier, slightly heavier versions of the warrior. So there's a bit of a misconception that I've seen. Everybody's like looking at our current battle sisters, and they're like, "Oh my god, like they're so lightly armored. They don't have armor. They just have robes. Like they don't have battle suits. What is going on here?" And you have to understand. So number one, the battle sister armor is lighter than what you would expect, for example, from a battle brother. But number two, the units you were seeing so far are all kind of like the light units. So the basic warriors have the armor, but it is covered with a robe. The flagellants and the fanatics only have like a very light breastplate that they're wearing. The vanguards, they're kind of like scouts, so they also have lighter armor. And as we're moving to the more elite units, that's when you're actually going to finally see the armor revealed, because the more elite units kind of like show it, have this larger armor that they're kind of like showcasing and not really covering. So this is one of those units. So you can actually see like the full armor. They have these beautiful skirts, and they basically fight with close combat weapons. So they have these halberds, and they have maces as well. So kind of like you can switch between the two. And they have these special shields, which kind of like include a sort of like pistol inside, so they can like protect themselves, fight, then use the shield to fire, and then protect themselves again. Actually, it's really cool. Like they have this backpack that we're working on, which kind of like is like this organ, because we have the organ tank, but we thought like, well, if we have only the organ element there, it doesn't really make sense. So we're kind of like including the organ pipes in other places. So these girls have it in their backpack. They also have like a cool, funky, fully closed helmet that looks really heavy. Very cool. I think also that they can be upgraded with spears, if I recall correctly, or I think maybe like the sergeant can have like a special spear, something like that. Whatever. Cool melee weapon chicks. Okay, next up. Going too fast. Okay, next up. All right, the APC. So So first time we're doing like a big shredded tank. We have only so far, I think the only tanks that we have are we have the tanks from the robot legions, which are kind of like spidery, crawly things. And then we had the tanks from the Eternal Dynasty, which are kind of like floating. They were sort of like these floating ship designs. But here we're actually moving into like a treaded tank. First time we're doing it, so very exciting. Took us a while to get to this design. If you know a little bit about the tank history, this design is actually inspired by. Well, it's a mix. It's inspired by World War II German Panzerkraftwagen 6, something like that. 4, whatever. Tiger tank, that's what people know it as. So we kind of use like the Tiger tank chassis as the baseline, and then we kind of inspired ourselves by like these cars that they use in the Spanish Semana Santa, and then we kind of like mixed the design, added the Baroque elements, and yeah, here we are. So this design that you're seeing here is the APC. And yeah, so this is like their troop transport. There's a miniature there for like scale reference. We're gonna have to see the scale. We still haven't started working on it. But yeah, very cool. Very excited to finally work on some sort of tank. And so yeah, so the Battle Sisters have the APC. You use it to roll into battle. That's great. But then they have another thing, which is we go to page 2. Bam! They have the Infernal APC. So the Infernal APC is basically like take the APC, remove some of its transport capacity or all of its transport capacity. Not sure. Whatever. Don't use it as a transport, but instead plant a turret on top with 2 massive flamethrowers, and basically just blaze the enemy away. So yeah, very cool design. I love this sort of like shield turret, and there's gonna be like a battle sister there in the back, kind of like commanding it, and just kind of like turning around and just blazing, um, blazing away. And yeah, exciting. I have to say, scary, of course, to tackle something completely new. Doing vehicles is, I think we've gotten very good at making, humanoids, at making cavalry. Although we really haven't made horses yet, so that's going to be a new challenge eventually. I think we've gotten good at making like hound type units, monsters, big monsters. But yeah, we haven't really been tackling vehicles much. And as we move forward into different types of factions, because so far we've been really focusing, not on purpose, by the way, it just kind of happened. We've been focusing a lot on like non-human factions. Like we have beastmen, we have ratmen, we have alien hives, we have jackals, like all of these non-human factions. So of course, also not many tanks. And yeah, moving up forward with tanks is interesting. Gonna be a learning experience, and hopefully also we're going to learn new things here that we can use eventually in the development of aircraft. So people have asked for aircraft. We are going to eventually do aircraft, yes. But we need to do it right. We want to do it right. And if you're going to make a miniature that has to like hang on some sort of like on some tall stick, and then like balance there, and not accidentally be made out of balance and then always fall forward or backwards, or and then hitting the floor and destroying itself. It takes some engineering. So that's why we don't have aircraft yet, for those that asked, because I get this question all the time. But eventually, okay, I think that's the Battle Sisters release for. I think that's the Battle Sisters release for February. Yeah. So for those that don't know, we used to only release 4 units per faction per month, and now in 2023 we're actually increasing it. So we're increasing the release size by 25%. So we're going from 4 to 5. So I think this is going to be, you're going to have the novices, the novice hero. You're going to have the Sacrosanct, the APC, and the Infernal APC. Yeah, so that's the 5 units. Okay, cool. I think we're actually slowly getting to the end of showing things off. So what do we have? Oh, okay. So okay, legendary creature for February. So this one is going to be, I think this one's called the Dread Scorcher. So basically, it's a giant lizard on top of one of the star host like cryo pyramids, and it has like this massive like flamethrower gun at the back. If you take a closer look, I know the screenshot maybe is not great, but you can see that in the back, the tubes go from the gun into like these big reserve tanks. Yeah, and basically they just blast away and burn everything in front. Also, you cannot really see it from this angle, but at the top where you have the big turret in the back, there's actually a little space, and there's going to be like a gecko like holding on for dear life and just blazing away. And whilst this giant dino like screams and thrashes at the enemy. One thing I just want to put this out there because I remember I saw somebody comment about that. Right now in this concept, the dinosaur has like these laser guns mounted on its head. Those are not going to be there. When we tried it, it looked like garbage. It looked kind of cool in the concept art, but in the actual sculpt, it just didn't work. So forget the head mounted lasers, but don't worry, the model still looks absolutely awesome, and it's massive. So yeah. Okay, cool. So, all right, what I'm going to do now is, so I think we're actually at the end. That's cool. So this only took an hour. This is great. So we're going to get into the Q&A section now. So, if you go to the YouTube chat at the very top, there should be a pinned post, which basically has a link to a Google form. Go there, ask your questions now. I'm going to give you like a minute. No, I'm gonna give you a few minutes because I'm gonna start answering questions, but I'm gonna eventually stop accepting responses. So I'm gonna say you take 3 minutes, start asking your questions, and then when I'm done answering the first couple questions, I'm just gonna stop it because already there's like 50 questions on here. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Let me drink some water actually. All right. I'm actually gonna try to speed run through these questions, because else, what's the point? We're not ever gonna get there. I remember last time we did like a Q&A, people asked me like, "Oh my god, can we see your face closer?" So during the Q&A, so let me see, what's a cool way to showcase this? Like this maybe? But can I then shift it? Meh. I don't know that. I don't know that it matters. Like this? Like this? Does it matter? I don't think it matters. Look, here's my face. You can see me. My name is Gaetano. I'm the CEO and founder of OPR. I created this whole thing back in the day. It's fun. That's my face. Okay, cool. Let me switch to the questions, and I'm gonna try to speed run this. So, so it's around almost 9 o'clock here. I'm gonna try and see how far I can get in half hour. All right, let's go. So dwarf mini. Will the dwarf minis come back? Old models that have been removed are not coming back. The old battle sisters are not coming back. The old dwarf minis are not coming back. Are we eventually going to do fantasy dwarves? Yes. When? No idea. Second question, beetle nids. Okay, so we had showcased like a basic concept for this faction for like a fantasy version essentially of Alien Hives, but that was more related to like bugs. We showed this off like 3 years ago, and people still ask about it. Beetle nids, they're gonna happen maybe one day. I'm not sure. I hope so though. I'm a beetle nids fan as well. Are Soul Snatcher Cult's 3D models coming next year? I don't know when they're coming. Eventually, all factions are going to be covered and new factions that are not here. So the answer is one day. Okay. Are we going to get Ratman mounted knights and archers as they fit nicely with their theme? They're not going to be mounted. We don't want to make mounted Ratman yet, but there will be a unit called the Ratman Rangers, which are going to be archers. Yes. Will be modular model options in the future? Will be modular model our models are already kind of modular, so they're as modular as we think that they're required to be. Just for people to be aware, a year ago, maybe, I don't know, some time ago, at some point, we made like a big poll asking people like, hey, do you actually print the combined version? Do you print an uncombined version? I think we found that like 90% of people only print the combined versions. They don't even use the cuts that we do to like exchange weapons. And so we actually now reduce the cuts to only the absolute necessary. And yeah, so I hope that answers your question. What about Battle Bros and Orc Marauders? When at some point, yes, but not yet. Are there any plans to introduce human factions based on non-Western civilizations? Yes, would be great. I would love to do that. We have some ideas, but nothing yet. Are there any updates on the volunteers program? No, we're going to hopefully release it this year. That's the plan, but we have no updates on that. Do you plan on doing more original armies or focusing on the existing armies with rules? A bit of both. That's the idea. A bit of both. But I think we need to make sure that the ratio between the amount of new armies we add versus old armies is okay, because I think it's very easy for us to kind of get carried away and just keep making completely original armies and then leave part of our old armies there, and I don't want that either. We have time. Okay, we already reached 65 questions. I'm going to stop accepting responses. 5 minutes have passed. Hope you got your question in. Else, come next time. All right. Do you consider how many models are in a range when deciding what to do next? Partly, yes. The amount of models in a range affects the production and how long it's going to take. So yeah, we do take that into consideration. Will you make hero models for Age of Empires Quest? Yes, would love to do that. It's in the plans, but still to be seen. 2 questions. What do you think about adding 2 new factions like Kislev and Kathai? I don't think that right now we're going to add any new army books unless we make models for them. Once the web app thing, the Army Forge thing, whatever, once people are able to share their custom-made armies with the community, this problem is essentially going to be solved, because somebody's going to make the army, or you can make the army that you want, share with the community, and you don't have to ask us to make something for your models. Will you consider adding named characters to existing armies? Yes and no. So adding named characters, so the way that it works with OPR is that if we have a narrative campaign, we have named characters in the narrative campaign, and rules for those named characters are in the narrative campaign. But we're not going to add named characters to the main army list. At least that's not the plan. Will the resurgence of War Master and Epic? It feels like OPR is missing the boat. Blah blah blah. Is the team still working on mass battle rules? Yes. ETA when it's ready. What are the next armies you're focusing on? No, nothing revealed yet. Are you planning on expanding your reach with partners? Yes. More partners are coming. For those of us without 3D printers that want original models, would it be possible to put the game aids on only games? There is a reason that the bases, the game aids, and the terrain are not on only games, and that's because right now the prices are prohibitive. I don't feel comfortable with putting the game aids package on there. I don't remember how much it was, but it was something ludicrous. Like the game aids were going to cost like $50, and it's like I don't feel comfortable with having something that is so pricey up there. We can talk, and we've kind of been talking also to the Only Games peeps to see what we can do about it. But yes, bases are very thick. They use up a lot of resin. They become very expensive. And it's not like, because my expectation is if I go buy bases, I'm gonna go buy them from somebody that makes plastic bases, and they can print thousands at no cost, and so they can sell me a bag of 50 bases for $10. I don't know, whatever the price might be. And so nobody's gonna go, or I don't feel comfortable with trying to sell you 5 bases for $20. Yeah, that's the answer. How could you expand the variety of people one-page rules reach? I don't know. You tell me. Will the Grimlock Future Firefight Mass Battle game have the same basing style and requirements like Epic Armageddon? Not sure. I don't really know the exact basing style and requirements from Epic Armageddon. In any case, the games are going to be minis agnostics, bases agnostics, so you can use your minis with our games, no matter how you base them. Just like with the other games. Some people fear, some people fear that releases of miniatures compatible with onepagerules will cause game to stop being miniatures agnostic. Are they right? I'm not sure I understand this question. I'm not sure how having miniatures compatible with OPR stops the game from being minis agnostic. Isn't it exactly the opposite? Like, isn't the whole point of us saying, like, hey, here's an army list, and here's lots of creators that make minis that you could use potentially for this army list. Maybe there's a misunderstanding as to what minis agnostic means, or what the goal of the compatible with OPR program is. Are you planning to visit any convention in 2023? Would love to. Looking into it. Not sure if it's gonna happen. Night destroyers for Grimlock Future Firefight. I think maybe the question here is related to, so in the skirmish games, the way that the army books are generated is that they basically automatically remove anything over a certain cost. Probably Night Destroyers are way too pricey to be considered a fair unit in Grimlock Future Firefight, so they were removed. This is a completely automated process, so yeah, I'm not going to make an exception just because you love the models. I'm sorry. One thing though, as part of the V2.50 update, we are actually planning to do a points review, hopefully soon. And so then, yes, we might actually change those. It might actually end up changing the cost of the unit that you're talking about here, the Night Destroyers, and maybe that then they're going to be back in, but yeah. I have 3 questions. Okay. Do you plan to release epic scale miniatures in 2023? Would love to. Yes, we're working on them. If epic is coming, do you plan fantasy and or futuristic flavors? There will be small scale games for both fantasy and sci-fi. If epic is coming, a new game system will be edited, or will be will it be a new game system or an adaptation of the existing one? So it's a new game system, but just like with the other games, it will be similar enough for you to kind of be able to transfer your knowledge from one game into the other. Do you plan on making models for every army you have eventually? Yes. When designing games, do you look at other similar systems for inspiration? Yes. Or distance them to stay original? I look for inspiration. I think, honestly, I think when I look at some indie games out there, I think one of the big mistakes that some creators do is that they look at conventions, or they look at established conventions, and then they sometimes really force themselves out of those conventions. And conventions are there for a reason, right? So if I can use a convention that you're familiar with to give you a new experience that is going to be enjoyable, I'm going to stick to a convention. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to go out of my way to make something feel different, be different, and potentially make things much more complicated for you to learn and much more complex, just for the sake of being different. What other game design hardships you feel you face? Lack of time, my dear. Lack of time. Being the CEO and founder of a company that now has, I don't know how many employees. We're big. 50, sorry, 50, and we're still growing. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. I am taking steps to hire more management people that can help me reduce my workload. But yes, the biggest hardship I have is lack of time to design the games. Will you ever go back and update some of your earlier model ranges like the alien hives? Yes, the alien hives are going to be reworked, and it's actually something we're working on right now. I'm hoping to have them finished and released within this calendar year. If Duchies of Vinci leader with the Master Assassin upgrade is embedded in the Duchies of Vinci Assassin squad, does the squad lose ambush and or stealth? If a unit, it depends on the rules, right? So if a unit without ambush joins a unit with ambush, that unit cannot ambush, right? Because every model needs to have ambush in order to ambush. Same thing with stealth, right? I think stealth requires all models. If all models in a unit have that rule, then stealth works. If so, is the reason for the game's balance? Okay. So just a quick way to explain it. So when we moved to V2.50, we condensed heroes into upgrades, right? So you have a generic hero called, I don't know, the Vinci Captain, Vinci Leader, and then you can upgrade him to be a captain, an assassin, whatever. In doing that, we had to kind of make some concessions. So now the assassin has a takedown rule. So the idea is that this is actually kind of like an idea from the old Warhammer Fantasy Battles game. So you take a Vinci assassin, you take a Vinci hero, you give him the assassin upgrade, right? So he gets the takedown rule. And then what you do is you embed him into a regular unit of, let's say, militia or whatever. And so when they go fight, you have this assassin that's basically hiding between the masses, and then he strikes out from the unit, and targets a leader, targets a banner bearer or whatever, and kills him. So that's actually the idea here. So you embed the hero, the assassin hero, into a unit, and then he strikes from within that unit. Will there be an official or partnered plague and or change disciple range? Eventually, we will make models for all the ranges. Will Battle Brothers receive data sheets for units from a certain heretical time? No, but the new web app thing will allow you to make your own lists and share them with the community, and so you'll have that. Will you be visiting any conventions next year? I already answered this. Hopefully. Will you be making STL starter sets for all the firefight factions? Right now, I see you're limiting to Ratman and Sisters. We don't have any STL starter sets for Ratman and Sisters for firefight. I don't know what you're talking about. But will we be making STL starter sets for all the firefight factions? It's complicated. I don't know how I feel about making starter sets for or whatever STL sets for firefight. It's imagine. So this is as someone who has had to deal with customer service for a huge audience, by now 12,000 patrons, and a much bigger audience beyond people that actually pay for Patreon, right? So we have, I don't remember the estimates, but we have tens of thousands of players, right? And so I have to deal with lots and lots of messages. This is my prediction, right? I will make a firefight starter set, an STL starter set of firefight for the Eternal Dynasty, right? And I will take 2 warriors, and I will take a captain, and I will take a ninja, and I will take a scout, and I'll put them all in a bundle. And then I'll put that for sale. And then immediately what's going to happen is people are going to complain. They're going to be like, well, I wanted this other mini in here, and I wanted this other mini in here. And oh, well, you did put scouts in here, but I wanted post 5 and not post 4. And so on and so forth. Or why did you give me this configuration, not the other configuration? So listen, the STLs are already very cheap. I'm gonna be honest. You can drop a tenner and have buy the Battle Sisters Warriors. You drop a tenner and you get so many models. Yeah, make your own firefight starters. I'm sorry, but I have to say I would like to make starter sets of some sort. Ideally, that come with rules. Ideally, that come with maybe even like some cool story. That come with stats. I would love to make starter sets. Ideally, also for, and I'm talking here about paid starter sets, so like for each faction. But more importantly, we are going to be releasing new starter sets this year. We're going to have 2D print, 3D print, and 3D print starter sets completely free. So if you have a 3D printer and you don't want to subscribe to a Patreon, you want to try before you buy, you have a fully free starter set. But I don't feel very comfortable doing a free starter set for every army. It's complicated. Okay. Licensed mini shop in North America. Not happening. But okay, let me expand. We have been talking to the Only Games team about the possibility of opening some manufacturing sites in the US. Ideally, one in the West Coast and one in the East Coast, or something like that. Ideally, also one that's in Europe, because one of the problems that we have with the physical models is not the physical models themselves. The quality is great. I think the price is more than fair. And people have also told me that they think the price is fair. But the problem is that you have to deal with shipping costs, and you have to deal with VAT, like import costs, whatever that's called. And so with Only Games manufacturing in the UK, the only solution seems to be to open manufacturing facilities in the US, and then eventually also in Europe. So yeah, if once those are in place, all these problems will be solved, and we will not need to worry about licensing to some random shop in the US. By the way, we already sometimes people ask me like why we don't allow like merchant licenses and all that type of stuff, and or some sort of like licensing deals. We actually tried that, and it was terrible, and I don't want to go through that again. So Yeah, only games is the solution for now. Will Grimlock Future Commanders, the small scale game, have the same basing requirements like Epic Army? What the fuck? This question was already asked. Games are minis agnostic, bases agnostic. You can use whatever game models you have for our games. Will you be doing 2D minis for Grimlock Future Commanders? No. No, there are no plans to make 2D minis for the small scale games. I'm trying to think right now if there would be a way to do that is like cost effective and cool. Maybe if we did like a top down version of the minis, although they're gonna be cost effective but they're not gonna be cool. Nah, I don't know how I feel about it. I'll think about it though. I'll think about it. For now, just 3D, but I'll think about the 2D thing. For Grimlock Future and Firefight, have you ever thought of adding a special ability to short-range weapons that would allow them to be used as melee weapons? Have thought about it, maybe at some point in the future. 2, have you ever thought of giving special weapons the phalanx rule from Age of Fantasy? No. I'm not sure what special weapons you're referring to, but no. I've never thought about giving the phalanx rule to special weapons. Are there plans for Ratman in space? Eventually, yes. There are no plans. What are the plans for Ratman, the epic and legendary? Okay, so the Ratman, legendary. Let me think. So I'm not sure which one. So they're going to have 2 massive models. I'm not sure which one is which. Sorry, I can't think of it off the top of my head. But one of them is going to be a God Titan. So it's a God Titan representing the, well, basically an avatar of the Rat Mother. And the other one is going to be a captain on a gigantic rat ogre. What are the plans for Battle Sisters, Epic Legendary Sculpts? Actually, no plans yet. We have kind of thought about it. We have talked about it. We haven't come to any conclusion. It could be some sort of walker. It could be some sort of like epic, almost like diorama style situation. It could be a huge tank, but I don't feel like it really fits the faction theme. It could be maybe like some sort of like ensemble of like, I don't know, almost like an avatar of the God Queen kind of situation. So nothing sure. Then are there any plans for kill team boarding action style rule set addition to Grimlock Future Firefight? No. Perhaps as larger than normal mission? No. I don't fully understand this question. I am really excited about Age of Fantasy Quest. Just one caveat: I want to have a wizard in my party. The only way to make a wizard is to take a staff and buff the team. So I'm not really sure. This is not really a question, but I suppose the question is like, are there going to be ways to? How are wizards going to be represented in Age of Fantasy Quest? I guess that's the question. You know, it's weird. It's a situation of rules-wise. Yeah, you can just use the regular special rules, well, the special skills to make a wizard, but feel-wise, because because it doesn't say wizard or it doesn't say spell, it just somehow feels different. I get it. So yeah, I've been thinking about it. I'm not really sure what the best way to do it will be. Maybe it could be some sort of thing where, like, you know, you choose from a set of spells instead of skills. But then I think it would make sense that, like, mechanically they should be different, because else it's just, okay, you're just calling them spells, but they're just skills, so what's the point? So I think, like, mechanically they would have to feel a bit different. Yeah, something to be thought about. Will there come any terrain pieces for Grimlock Future FTL? Not sure. So this is something I thought about. So first off, we still need to make the FTL new ships. So that's the first thing. In terms of terrain, you know, making space terrain is like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I need to go through this with the concept team. But what can you do? You can do some asteroids. You can do some destroyed ships. You can maybe do some space station. I don't know. I feel like there's not a lot that you can do there. And right now our focus is more on the ships. But maybe we'll do some terrain for FTL. When will the development for the small scale games be continued? Unclear. When will the retail products like boxes and clamp bags beside physical rule? Will there be retail products like boxes and clamp bags beside physical rulebooks in the future? No, not in any way near foreseeable whatever future. No, physical production is a huge hassle, and we're only going to get into that either one if we have so much money that it's not a risk to the business to actually tackle that, or B, it somehow becomes very simple where it's not as big of an issue. I don't know. There's a reason why we're digital first, and it's because it makes everything easier, and we're a small company. And staying digital and being agile it's much more advantageous than us trying to do physical, at least for now. Oh wait, I'm taking a look. Bad audio. Ugh, bad audio. I don't know. I mean, everything's plugged in. Microsoft microphone is dying hard. I don't know. Everything is plugged in. Need to print temps a new. I don't know what that means. Fixed? What the hell? What happened? Well, I literally just unplugged my internet cable and plugged it back in. Sorry. I hope that that's weird. It literally, so somebody's saying like, oh, it might have been a CPU RAM issue. It literally just fixed itself. Like I pulled out my LAN cable and put it back in, and now it works. Boo! I don't know what's happening. I hope you guys were able to hear my last couple questions or answers. Okay, let me go. The latest Battle Sister bikers don't seem to have separate bike and rider. Can we have the option made available? Maybe. I'm gonna be honest. Right now. Oh, wait. Audio's broken again? Man, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to tell you. But okay, can you not hear me at all? Or is it just a little annoying? Because if it's a little annoying, then we're just gonna push through. But if you cannot hear me at all, then I guess we have to stop, because I don't know what else to do here to fix it. We're plugged in. Oh, let me ask here. We can hear you, but you're hacked up. I don't know. I don't know what to do, peeps. I'm sorry. We can hear, but it's annoying. Now somebody says it's fixed. I literally didn't do anything. Fix again. I don't know. Maybe it's something with like the internet connection at home. Maybe somebody's downloading stuff. I don't know. All right, we're gonna. Okay, a lot of people say it's fixed. I guess we're gonna try to push through. Okay, somebody was asking about separating Battle Sisters from the bikes. Unclear. We are way behind with our schedule right now. We're way overworked. Maybe at some point in the future, but not sure. Will we get a Feudal Guard FTL fleet? No, because Feudal Guard is being removed from the game. It's not part of our IP. It's not what we're wanting to do. Eventually, maybe in the future, we'll have Feudal Guard again, but it would look very different. And yeah. Have one FTL per month for a Grimlock Future faction. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe you're talking about the 3D print minis. We are looking to new ships, yes. We're not looking to update the old ships. Will you guys make Astra Militara-like figures so people can play? We might, like I said, we're going to do all armies. We're going to do all armies in the long run. When I don't know. Any news on the epic scale version? When it's ready. Are you planning on any STL files for FTL? Yes. Okay, I can see that now. A lot of questions are the same. When will we see more exclusive OPR fantasy armies like Vinci guys in the near future? Not sure. I don't know. We'll have to see. Given that Battle Sisters have been resculpted, are they planning the works for Havoc Brothers in the near future? Not in the near future. Nothing in the near future. So in the near future, there's Ratman and Battle Sisters. What comes after, we haven't revealed. So that's what you get. Do the lists of Grimlock Future AI factions seem pretty stable, or do you expect them any more to go any way, expand, split, shrink, be added? If so, is it on weeks, months, years time frame? Okay. We are going to keep working on the balance of the game forever. So, some lists more than others. Some lists will be expanded. Some lists might become so big that we might split them. Some lists might be shrunk or merged. I don't know. But yes, you can expect us to continue working. In the near future, I have like a huge list of like small fixes across lots of armies that I want to do. Plus, I want to do like a major like point reshifting, which basically, so the way it's going to work is basically that weapons are going to become more expensive. The costs are going to be rebalanced so that we stay within the range where like a 2,000 point game feels like a 2,000 point game. But the ratio is going to change, so you can expect weapon heavy and weapon upgrades to become more expensive to sort of balance the body versus weapon issue, let's say. Oh, by the way, I sorry, I was looking at the chat and I saw people say "rip feudal guard." Oh my god, F for feudal guard. Just gonna put this out there. I already spoke to the guys from the Maker's Cult. Once our web app thing is online, the feudal guard list is going to be transferred to them, so they can maintain it. It's their models, it's their line. They can expand it, they can work on it. So when I say the feudal guard is going to be gone, it's going to be gone from the official lists because they're not based on our models. Makes sense. They're their models. It's their IP. It's their thing. So the feudal guard are going to stay, but as shifted from official army to unofficial army, partner army, call it that. Okay, I've been working on a homebrew for Firefight, which uses ships like X-Wing and TIE Fighters, skirmish game stuff for war fleets. Is this a thing I can share in the Discord? Yeah, if you're doing a free mod for one of our games, yeah, feel free to share it. I actually expect so once the web app thing, the builder, the point builder is up and the lists are shared with the community, I actually expect this to become more of a thing where, like, again, it's a miniatures agnostic game, right? And you have the core rules that work. So if you think the core rules for Grimlock Future Firefight are really cool and you want to make an army list for X-Wings, you don't even need to modify the rules. You can just start making army lists for X-Wings or honestly for whatever else you want, and you can use those minis with our games. So for example, one of the questions that we get a lot from people is like, oh, when are you going to do historical armies? We have no intention of doing historical armies, but you're going to be able to make your Napoleonic armies, share them with the community, get upvoted, comment, and you're going to be able to do anything. Really, we are opening up our game system to anything, any miniatures, anyone. Like it's gonna be really cool. So yes, you can share your current X-Wings mod, of course, but wait for that feature of the army thing builder to come out. You're gonna be able to do some really cool stuff. Is there a list or place where the compatible with OPR stuff is collected? Not right now. What is the best way to contact you about making minis for OPR as a third-party creator? Email me, info@onepagerules.com. That's where you can send your emails. New FTL ships when? No, I don't know. When will we have Eternal Dynasty rule set for Fantasy Skirmish? Eternal Dynasty are not coming for Fantasy. Questions about the points calculator and Army Forge. Will there be a way to use the points calculator and import that built into own army? Yes. So once the whole system is online, you'll be able to make an army. So you'll be a patron. You'll go on the Army Forge creator, whatever we're going to call it. You're going to go there. You're going to create your army, and that's going to automatically generate the PDF, and it's going to automatically generate an entry for the list builder. So it's all going to be integrated. It's all going to be seamless. Again, it's going to be amazing. Are there any plans for retailer support? No. Like a way for local game stores to sell OPR models? No. Question about Army Forge. I know the point calculation is available for patrons. Are you going to implement it into Army Forge app? Yes, it's the thing that I keep answering. It's all coming together. What's your favorite piece of lore you've developed for OPR so far? Ooh. Well, thank you. Thank you for a question that's a bit different because I feel like I've been getting the same question over and over. Favorite piece of lore? I don't know. It's tough. The lore for most factions, and a little bit also like the origin story of the actual worlds, is usually based on either something I've experienced, maybe some sort of trauma, maybe some sort of situation in life, maybe some sort of difficulty, or maybe something that I've observed that was very hard to deal with, um, and so in a way, I'm attached to most of the lore. I actually think that um, the lore idea, for example, behind the Beastman is very cool. The premise of the premise of both universes is really great. I have to say, like I love the premise of, for example, Age of Fantasy, and I guess I'm very proud of it as well. Is this idea that like there was this world where things were one way, and then this huge catastrophic event happens, and it kind of like the repercussions of this event ripple through the world and through every faction, and every faction is affected by it differently, and every faction reacts to it differently. And then all these things kind of like intertwine into like this huge web of history, and yeah, I think that's actually very cool. Because there's a history, right? So for every faction, you can just take them at face value and look at what do they look like now, and how do they act now, and what are their models now. But then if you dig deeper, it's like, well, okay, so why are they the way they are now? When the rift opened, what happened to them? What was their life like before? And are they better for it? Are they worse for it? How do they deal with it? Yeah, it's very cool. I suppose in some ways I am tough to say, but I suppose in some ways I'm more fond of the fantasy lore. I don't know. The Grimlock Future lore is also very cool. I really love the core story of the Robot Legion and High Elves, and then like all the repercussions that come from that, and all the various like elf factions that sprout from that whole conflict. And I don't know, man. It's hard to pick favorites. Maybe I'm not the right person to pick favorites. Are there any plans for Sigma rides in the next 12 months? I'm not sure what you mean, and I'm gonna say no. What's the release schedule for more quest material? When it's ready. What is your beard care routine? I don't actually do much for my beard. I get it trimmed usually like once a month. Actually, I haven't trimmed it in a while. I went off on vacation, and it's really rough, and I still haven't cut it. But I actually like, so for those that want to know, I use this shampoo. Let me see what it's called. Um, Damn, I don't. I don't remember what it's called. I basically use a shampoo that's also like a mix between like shampoo and softener. Is that what it's called? Um, and yeah, I just wash it in the shower every day. So that's what I do. Okay. Do you plan to keep the Army Builder web app free? The Army Builder web app. So if you mean the list builder, like the fact that you can list your builds, can build your list, yes, that is free. That's gonna no plans to make that paid. The Army Creator, that is a paid feature. We might add some sort of monetization in the future, like because we give out a lot of things out for free, and I think that definitely like the baseline of anything we do, like the things that you really need to play the games, should and will stay free. But I don't know. Imagine like we have some new feature in mind. I can't even think of anything right now, to be honest. But imagine, I don't know. Imagine. Oh wait. I actually think we had talked about something like this recently. Imagine like if you have like an integration with Tabletop Simulator, where like I don't know, you build your lists and then it pushes it through to Tabletop Simulator and it generates an army for you. Maybe it has the menus. I don't know, something like that. Maybe like something that's like it's a cool extra. It's a bonus, but it's not required to play the game. Something like that could be paid, but the main tools are going to stay free. Um, okay, what's the priority of balancing current armies' hits versus toughness? Our group has banned Tau because of their insane damage output at the moment. So part of the way that this is going to, so the reason that this is a problem right now, from what we gather, is that the cost of bodies versus the cost of attacks is off. So right now, attacks are very cheap. So what's happening in those situations is that you have a unit with a low toughness value, maybe a T1 unit or maybe a T3 unit, um, being able to output a lot of damage, but the cost of that damage is so low that the unit ends up being relatively cheap. So with this new rebalancing of like the ratios, all those units are going to become very expensive. Well, not very expensive, I guess, but they're going to become more expensive, and by virtue of that, more balanced, right? Because maybe, I mean, I'm not sure exactly which units you're referencing to. Maybe you're talking about like the battle suits, which actually were already heavily nerfed. But yeah, they're going to not just be nerfed as we nerfed them already, but they're also going to become more expensive. And I hope that that's going to bring a bit of balance to the force. How easy is it to print the large models on smaller resin printers? So they're all cut into small pieces. If you have a printer, hold on, I can tell you the exact size that they are cut for. So they are so the models are cut for the smallest printer that we have here that we cut for is a Sonic Mini, which is 134 by 75 by 130. So if you have the Sonic Mini or bigger, you can print them greatly. With large models, and generally just with resin printing, there's always the risk of like shrinkage and stuff like that. So you might have to use a little bit of green stuff to like fill some gaps or whatever, or stuff like that. But yeah, you can print them on smaller resin printers. Do we think there will be more reboots of earlier lines? I mean, like I mentioned before, eventually we will redo the dwarves. And what else did we have? I think we had like a couple of Battle Brother models, yeah. So eventually we'll make Battle Brothers as well. So I guess yes. Some factions have robust options for the hero commander units, while some are comparatively thin. What are your thoughts on making some of the other factions that are lacking in options more robust? Maybe, I don't know. I don't. I feel hesitant to just keep adding more things to the games, especially things that like don't have models for. I don't want to just like make up things. So sorry. Let me explain my reasoning better. So can we do things? Yes. Can we add more options? Yes. To all armies. Yes, we can add more tough 6 units to armies. We can add alternative mounts. We can add more special weapons. We can add more monsters. We can. But should we? Right? That's the central question for me. Should we? And especially in a game with like 50 factions and thousands of units, I think it has to be really calculated. So I feel hesitant to just tell you like, oh yeah, sure, we're at stuff. Also, I have to say like everybody's biased, right? Everybody has their favorite army. So I get messages every day from a fan of Robot Legions that tells me that Robot Legions are garbage and should be stronger. Just like I have fans of other factions that tell me, hey, I just fought Robot Legions and I think they're way too strong and they should be weaker. Right? Everybody has their favorite faction. So it's hard to just one man's comparatively thin army is another man's perfectly balanced army. I hope this answers the question. What was the thought process on the scale of battle sister weapons? I love the rest of the sculpts, but their weapons seem too big when compared to other ranges. So funny enough, it's the other way around. It's not that the battle sister weapons are too small or too big. It's that the other ranges that we made have weapons that are too small. So one thing that people have complained about, and rightfully so, over the last year or more, well, since the beginning, I'm going to say, is that the scale of our models is off. We make some great models. People love them. For example, the Jackal. I have one here. I can show you. Right. Let me see if you can see this properly. So, right, I have here a Jackal tracker. It's a great model. It's really amazing. But look at the size of this rifle. Especially for resin printing, this is extremely, extremely brittle. If I touch this model the wrong way, it's going to snap. And I love this model, but this rifle should have been bigger. So it's not that the Battle Sisters weapons are small. It's that are big. It's that our previous rangers have small models, small weapons. So we actually have been putting a lot of work into improving our scale, into improving the printability of our models, into improving the thickness of our models, and so on and so forth. And the Battle Sisters and the Ratmen, I think in some ways are some of the best. Like in these terms, I know not everybody loves the aesthetic, whatever. But in terms of like scales and proportions and thickness and stuff like that, are some of the best models that we made. So there's that. Okay. Any plans for future support for Tabletop Simulator in regards to models? Not really. I know that there's a lot of people that would love to see OPR minis on there. Dude, it's a lot of work. It's work. Yes, we are a big company, but we are focusing on what we think is best for the company and for everyone, really. And yes, would it be cool to have OPR models on there? Sure. How would that work? Would they be free? Would it be paid? How would it work with sharing? How simplified would these? Also, like, there's all the work that would have to go into like making sure that they work, because if we do one model, people are going to want all models, and then this just becomes one more item in our pipeline, and it just becomes bigger and bigger. And let's be honest, like Tabletop Simulator is filled with models, unfortunately pirated models, but it's filled with models. So I don't think that right now this is our priority. We have bigger and more important things to take care of. As kind of like the thing from before, right? Can we do it? Yes. Should we do it? Should we focus on this? I don't think so. Yeah. Will there be some focus on expanding on the Death Ball one-off game? Eventually, yes. Eventually, I would love to make the fantasy sports game, but I don't know when. The demand is really small. That's the truth. The demand is very, very small. I know that for everyone inside of their own fandom, the demand for a game is always like, oh my god, but we have a huge audience, or whatever. Maybe you know, how many people really are out there that play Blood Bowl, and then you know trickle down from there. How many people play what was it called? Guild Ball? How many people play Dread Ball? And then just keep going to smaller and smaller games. And you know, if we do something, we want to do it right. So if we want to commit to doing Death Ball, it means a full commitment, right? It means that we're doing the game, but it means that we're doing art. It means that we're doing lore. It means that we're doing models. It means that we're doing all the factions. It means so many things, and we want to do it properly, right? If we're going to do something, we want it to be awesome. We want you to love it. We don't want to just kind of half-ass something just to have it out there. We don't want to rush to just make, oh my god, here's 1.0 of Death Ball, and then people ask us for models for the next 5 years. So I don't want to rush into anything. Okay, so that was actually all the questions in the thing. That was 65 questions. We're 1 hour and 45 minutes in. We're almost done. I guess. Well, let me see if there's any special question here in the chat that I feel like answering. There was some talk ages ago about shooting causing exhaustion. Is it still planned? Maybe. It was never confirmed, so nothing is planned. So, as with everything, maybe. OPR major feature film when? I don't know. You know, maybe, you know, it took Games Workshop, what, 40 years to get to where they are now, and the movie is still not made. So, I don't know, give us 40 years, thereabouts. How about paid army builder and creator mobile app? So actually right now, if you go to the Army Forge, like on your phone, you can actually like download a version of it on your phone, and then you can just use it. So we don't have currently any plans to make an actual app out of it, but you can download it and essentially use it like an app already. Red Corpse of Krieg, no. Where do we make army lists again? If you're a patron, it's on Patreon. Okay. Okay, I see that there's like a lot of comments and not many questions. So I think all right, we can stop here. Wait, somebody asked. Okay, somebody asked an interesting question. Question to solve a conundrum in the Discord the other day. What's my native language? So I speak 6 languages fluently. It's a bit tough for me to define my native language. My father is Italian, my mother is Yugoslavian, but I was born in Germany, and I grew up between Italy and Germany. So I guess my native languages are Italian, Yugoslavian, and German, I guess. But I also started learning English from a very young age. So, and I actually think my English is better, for example, than my Yugoslavian. So I guess these 4 are my native languages. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how fluent do you have to be in a language for it to be a native language? I guess, okay, maybe there's a difference between something being your native language and you being a native speaker. Maybe that's the thing. So I would think that my English is at the level of a native speaker, and my Italian and my German as well. My Yugoslavian, it's all right, but it's not. I couldn't have a political discussion. I couldn't write a rule set in Serbo-Croatian. So yeah. Okay. I think we're done. Okay, wait. Somebody mentioned I'd love an official tournament package. Eventually, it's coming. There will be a tournament pack. There will be a welcome pack. There will be a recruitment pack. It's all kind of part of like the volunteers thing, like a demo pack. We want to give you the tools that you need to be able to, well, 1, to be able to demo the games, if you're excited about that, and 2, to be able to kind of like essentially like help you set up your community, and then start with like, let's say what we're gonna call maybe like a recruitment kit. Although I don't love the name recruitment kit because it sounds kind of indoctrination type of thing. But yeah, so like imagine there would be like a kit to kind of like help you like get people into the game, and like a demo kit as well for people to like start playing the games. And then there would be like a kit for like maybe like organized play, but not necessarily just organized play, but like kind of like an event kit, because like you can have an event that is about painting, you could have, we run writing jams. You could have an event that is about like writing and storytelling and sharing. But yes, we want to create packs. And yeah, okay, what else we got? What language do you think in? Oh, Jesus. So I get this question all the time. I don't think in any language in particular. I think in concepts. I know a lot of people don't really understand this, but yeah, that's kind of like how it works. If I focus on a specific like phrase or something, I can think in a language, but my standard thinking is not in a language. It's kind of like, it's just like concepts and images, I suppose. And the next question people usually ask me is like, what language do you dream in? And it's exactly the same thing. I don't dream in any language. I dream in concepts. Okay. All right. I think that's enough questions about these things. Okay, guys, it's almost been 2 hours. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm sorry about the audio issues. I am going to try and like understand what is going on, and see if maybe I can do some tests and I don't know, try and figure it out. I was hoping that there was going to be no issues. It seems that it was only temporary, so I hope the whole stream wasn't ruined for you. Yeah, and actually, so the next stream is actually in, well, okay, it's in 4 weeks. The next stream is going to be on the 26th, I think. It's going to be 26th of January. Again, around the same time. And yeah, I'll probably do the same thing, put the thing with the questions. So, post your questions there. If you have any comments, anything to say about these streams or whatever, put them in the YouTube comments below, I suppose, or answer on Discord. I'm gonna be hopping on Discord now, and like if you want to chat with me, I'll be available for a bit. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you enjoyed everything that we showed. And yeah, exciting times, exciting things are coming. I feel like 2022 was the setup for everything that's coming out in 2023, and I hope it works out, and we can actually get you all this amazing stuff by this year. Okay, cool. Thank you guys, and yeah, have a good night. Bye bye.